Start with the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Trombley. Here. Trustee McFetrich. Here. Trustee Trombley.
Here.
Trustee Garrett. Here. Mayor Martin.
Here. Motion to approve the village board meeting, June 11th of 2018.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion, addition, deletions, subtractions? Times bys, gazintas? I didn't see anything. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any disapproval? Motion carries. The presentation of petitions, communications, and general question period for members of the community. As there is no one here, we'll move on to the code officer who was excused tonight, had to be in Shazy. I have a couple comments on that. One is I expect that there is a request for a trial of the Oak Street property that needs to be cleaned up. That will be upcoming. And I guess this doesn't really fit under codes enforcement, but the sidewalk investigation continues with the Labor Department looking into the Prospect Street sidewalk job. Apparently the complaints are still, from one party, is still continuing, so the Department of Labor is investigating. I don't think the village is so much under the magnifying glass here, so to speak. Right now they are looking at the contractor and the subcontractor's pay records. But it will come down to us legally. I guess we are responsible for the pay issue. So we will see how that works out. Mr. Manning called the other day and asked if there was a supervisor for the job, and Mary replied no, that we did not have a supervisor there, that it was being handled by our Department of Public Works, as well as the contractor that we awarded the contract to. So we will go from there and see what happens with this investigation.
Okay, I guess I don't know what you're talking about.
The sidewalk, we had 1,200 feet of sidewalk down on Prospect Street last year.
Yeah, I know that.
And
And there's things
one of
to
the
fix,
one of the competitive bidders who was not awarded the bid complained, sent numerous emails to the office here about whether the person who got the contract was doing it by the labor laws and paying prevailing wage. We awarded the contract, and personally, I think, as a group, I think we're all happy with the work that this person did. The contractor that did the, but this competitor decided to push it a bit further and ask for pay invoices, whether the contractor was paying the prevailing wage and all of this yada yada stuff. And after numerous emails to the office that Juanita and Mary had to deal with, turned it all over to Tom Renane, and Tom started looking at it. And the person who was making the complaint called the Department of Labor and wanted an investigation, not only investigating the village, but also the contractor and the subcontractor that did this job. So,
But if we hired someone to do the job, they won the bid, what would we have anything to do with their individual paychecks
Well,
to their employees.
apparently, because it is a municipal project, the village should be collecting pay records on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. And this, I never knew this. And then withhold funds from the contractor at the end of the job to make sure that everything is completed and then pay the retainage. Now, to me, if you come in and do a job, like any contractor, if you come in, you win the bid, you do the job, you get paid.
That's what we've always done.
But apparently, there has to be some checking or some verification of prevailing wage payments or whatever. Anyway, I don't know what this is going to amount to. I don't think the village is, we may get a slap on the hands or something, but I don't think from a financial sense we are obligated in any shape, size, form, or manner. I think this is just, well, I'm not gonna get into the personal aspects of it. I just think it's somebody who is not happy about not getting the bid and pursuing other issues, or pursuing other avenues, let's use that term.
Have there been any concerns from the owners and tenants of that driveway where they cut across it, that it's not quite great?
Not that I know of.
Nothing?
Have
In
they,
a crack?
Yeah.
No, I haven't heard.
And there's a couple spots within the walk where it has risen up again. I don't know if we have any,
haven't heard anything about
thing
that.
to go back on that. Okay.
I think what happened there wasn't.
Where the vault was, you mean?
You're talking about, Savoy Way, right?
On the way down, so there's been some changes in the height. Obviously, it was much worse with the winter transition. But then as everything has settled out again, there's still some separation. And then in the driveway itself,
Where is this?
where they cut across, Red's driveway going into
Oh,
the
okay.
property there. You take a look at that. There is,
I
No,
think,
I haven't- I
I
haven't
think
had
in the
any
future,
complaints with it.
we need to spec it much heavier, much thicker in a driveway like that. A lot of big trucks go in there, the buses go in there,
mhm.
a lot of heavy, heavy vehicles. It cracked early, it cracked
It did, right.
shortly after it was.
I know there's one by the vault, where the vault's into the sidewalk, because you have very little there, but I know it cracked there. There's sidewalk machine too, but.
Yeah, yeah, I think we need to spec much thicker concrete, especially on a commercial type.
Yeah. See where you put out the bid.
Yeah.
Wow. And I don't think that we
Well,
should do
Any
a
that we do, I think we need to.
sidewalk silver this season ever again either. I think that played a factor in
I think
Uh,
summers along the way, we're
not
gonna have to
usually.
discuss sidewalks.
I know we
and
put
them on the
calcium
side, so-
before, then so late in the year we put calcium.
Yeah,
Sometimes you're worse than when it's hot in the summer, because it dries so quick.
I think that area is mostly because of commercial traffic.
Right. Well, then everything they planted on the side washed away, there was washout. And it was a lot of money to not have it,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Well, we set money aside for sidewalks, so we'll have to decide if we're going to continue replacing, or focus right now on some repairs that we need to make on sidewalks, as you're doing up there on Maple Street here, where you work today.
Hard,
So
but
maybe
such a bad stretch, you can have one good piece and then the rest of it's, let the board have to decide what they wanna do.
Yeah,
They'll have to decide and prioritize it, what they want me to work on and not work on, it's just, there's so much that.
well, as you continue up Prospect Street, you're gonna be in people's, if you have to make it to 4.5 foot width, you're gonna be in people's lawns and taking out shrubs and all that stuff.
Trees.
Well, you have to, if you're
Trees-
replacing,
trees-
you have to
trees
go
are
to
wrong.
ADU
You're gonna have trees that
compliance.
big and take out.
So I have to make that discussion before it's too late.
Mm-hmm. Gotta deal with it.
He's on the sidewalk tonight.
Yeah, I think.
If you don't mind coming up with a list of ones that you think ought to be addressed.
Sure. I'll be there, I can.
And then we'll see if Mike has time. And we'll have to decide if we wanna put it out to bid or if we wanna do it what we can. But that's all I have with Mike. Any other comments on the code enforcement issues, anything? That I can give to him when I see him next? Besides a mattress that needs to be taken off Main Street?
Oh, that's gone.
It's gone?
Oh, good.
Piano that's been sitting out for a month.
Where?
Is
We've
it
had
still
an
sitting
issue
there?
on that one too, we've had a
Where is
couple
it?
calls on.
Lots of stuff.
Right
hanging
across,
out there.
well, it's
Oak Street.
Oak
Yeah.
Street, just past KFC.
But that green
Wrapped in
bucket
a
is still
tarp
on
now,
Flag
though.
Road.
The what?
The green bucket.
Okay, moving right along. This will begin our reports. 9th of July 2018, greetings and welcome to the July Village Board meeting. I will begin my remarks with a couple of reminders. Water and wastewater bills are due by the end of the month. Please be prompt with your payment to avoid any penalties for late payment. Secondly, beginning with the October 1st water and wastewater billing, the new water rates will be going into effect. As we have reported to you over the past couple monthly reports, this increase, 15.5% for both village and town users, is necessary to ensure that we have enough funds to make our water project payment in July of 2019. For the average user of a 10,000 gallon per quarter, this increase will be approximately $1.55 for 3 months of usage. This increase is unfortunate for all users, but with softer water, increased pressures, and enhanced fire protection, we are obligated to repay this loan for the shared water project. Restoration of sorts has begun on a limited basis. All those affected by the need for restoration, we have been promised that it will occur, and the needs to repair your property will be addressed. Again, we appreciate your patience and understanding in this matter. It does seem that it has taken a long time for this issue to be addressed. Property owners here in the village that need restoration should call the town office to check that their property is on the list for restoration and included on a timetable for work to be completed. Call the village office if you need assistance in this important matter, and we will do whatever we can to help facilitate this restoration issue. Village residents will notice a flurry of activity over the next couple months. There will be reclamation work done around the village office beginning later this month and into August and maybe into September. As contaminated soil is removed and replaced, this is an old problem that needs attention, and DEC in New York State is going to do the cleanup at no cost to village residents. This is a huge issue concerning the health and welfare of our staff and for all of those using the village office. We will attempt to remain open during the lengthy process, but in the event that we have to move our business location, that information will be posted on our computer pages, web pages, as well as the local newspaper. We have been told that the Elm Street Bridge will be getting some much needed attention in late August and or early September. The bids were supposed to go out this month with the bid opening in August and work hopefully starting in September. The bridge will be sandblasted and painted as well as undergoing a structural inspection. Traffic will most likely have to be rerouted for a 3 to 4 or 5 to 6 week period while this work is done. This is also a big undertaking that will take a lot of patience and understanding from those affected by the end result, but the end result will be worth the discomfort over a short time period. We would We would like to sincerely thank all of our water users that have experienced the loss of water for a short period, and the boil water orders that go along with the numerous water line breaks we've experienced over the last 9 months. We've had 29 line disruptions since last October to June.
Yeah,
October to June?
Halloween, yeah, end of October, so.
October to June of this year. Needless to say, this has kept the DPW crew very busy, as many of these leaks seem to occur late on Friday afternoons, weekends, early mornings, or late at night. Our water budget has taken a direct hit here from parts and overtime. We are fortunate to have such a good crew. Mike and his staff are quick to respond and stay until the job is completed. They deserve our thanks and appreciation for the work they do, often under less than desirable conditions. It takes them away from their families and their friends for a prolonged period of time. Thanks to Mike and his staff for a job well done. I was going to include, let's see, we got the Oak Street trial, sidewalk investigation. Now, unlike most of my reports, I get to do a little bit of good news. The annual Village Fest will be held on August 11th this year at the Villaro Park on River Street from noon to 4 p.m. All are invited to enjoy the ice cream and the many activities that make this day such an enjoyable experience for all that attend here in the village. More information about this day will be reported on later in this meeting and will be listed on the village web pages as well. Please join us for a great day here in the village. They're back from Border Patrol today. They will have, their officer will be here all day long, as well as their static displays, the jet skis, and maybe the dog if it's available, the drug sniffing dog. And I have not heard from the Airborne Division yet about the helicopter coming. But I wouldn't, they have been downsized greatly, so I don't know that they have the resources to come up here. I haven't seen the helicopter flying as much as usual. So, therefore, thank you for your time and your attention. Kim, would you like to start tonight?
I would love to start. The only thing that I have followed up again with Sierra from the public health educator from Clinton County Health Department. She was out of the office. I've left a message with someone in her office. I've left a message on her voicemail. I have not heard back from her yet, so.
Well, if the circumstances were reversed, they'd probably be pounding on your door.
Oh, yeah. And I meant to try calling her today, and the day in the office got away from me, so I will try calling her again.
Okay. It is what it is, to
It
quote
is
a
what it
famous
is.
philosopher.
And, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Janet?
The hip hop dance class was very successful. We had about 12 to 13 kids during the first session and no one in the second session.
Really?
Yeah, so
Why
I think,
happened?
well, part of it was a couple of siblings joined the early session because they could only be there. It was easier for their mothers if they were together. And the numbers were just low on the older kids. But the first group had a great time. It was a lot of fun to watch. The kids were great.
What was the age group of the first?
Well, it actually was from about 3 to probably 11. There was one 3-year-old who stuck with it the entire week, and she was pretty amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so they let the 3-year-old in?
Yeah, her mother had walked down with the family, and they let her, and she did really well. Yeah, so it was a lot of fun to watch. We have 2 longboats here. Thanks to Mike for getting those docks in time and
They're
helping.
still in the water.
Yeah, they're a little high, but that's okay, they're there, and helping with the boats when they arrived. We've already been out rowing twice. The community rowing is Fridays at 6, and invite all of you to come. It's a lot of fun, we've had a good turnout. Our first youth group session was yesterday at 1. Both boats were filled.
Wonderful.
I talked Arsene Waterno into being a coxswain on the other one, which he did a great job, and I'm hoping he'll return into it again, because it was really helpful. And Bill Rice, the other one. We'd like to have a training for some more coxswains, so if anyone in the public wants to get trained, let me know. If anyone on the board wants to get trained, let me know.
What exactly is that?
It's the person that gives the commands and then controls the rudder.
Okay, that's what I
So
thought, but I
it's
wasn't
like,
sure.
you know, you say stroke, or you say hold water, or, you know, you just sit there and give the commands.
Oh.
Yeah. The river's quite low already. We have
That's
not,
amazing how much went down.
yeah,
Yeah.
we have not gone past the rocks yet. We can still make it, but I don't know for how long we'll be
Yeah.
able to do it, so. First farmer's market is Saturday, this Saturday, 9 to 12, Paquette Park. Also, as part to the side of the farmer's market is we're having a kids' story hour with Pepper the dog. That's Shanmore's dog is coming to do that little presentation. That's Saturday at 10. And then on Sunday is our first concert. So that's Mary McCaffrey and her friends, Bill Earl Park. Sunday the 15th at 6. Hope we get a good crowd, bring a chair. There is a kids' cooking class that's scheduled for the end of July, I don't have the exact date. I think it's the 28th. That's the 4th in our series of cooking classes for kids. Had a huge, huge response.
That's a great
Yeah,
thing for kids.
it is, and they just enjoy it so much. The concert that I announced earlier on July 22nd has been postponed. We're gonna look at that again. We may do it, it was the Christmas in July, we may do it closer to actual Christmas time. So that's been postponed. I don't know if Mike is gonna bring this up or not, but I would ask residents who live near the flower barrels if they could water and weed those a little bit, it would be really, really helpful. We've had so much heat, and it's hard for the guys to put that on their agenda.
Do it every day, but it takes about 2 hours.
It takes way too much time, and if the
By the time you
residents could just go out
Every
in
day.
front of their homes or, you know, and just spend a little
Some,
bit of time,
there's a few that do, some do water,
yeah, it would really be helpful,
but if they don't and you miss them a couple times, they're dead.
yeah,
So every
Oh,
day,
no.
they've been watering every day. You know, it takes, by the time you do that, you do the trees, once we get, you know, some places where there's grass, they were watering that a couple hours a day.
yeah. So the residents could definitely help with the barrels.
Well, we used to put them in front of people who would accept that responsibility.
Yeah,
But
and some
they
of them
don't.
do now, but,
There's just some that do. If they don't, and you miss them a couple times, they're all done.
yeah,
Well, you have the ones in the corners that really aren't anybody's.
and the geraniums
Well,
in the
they-
gazebo, that's.
No shade either.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, I would just throw that out, and then I think the only other thing is that, this is way in advance, but I want the board to be aware of it, and the community, is we're going to have a Champlain History Day on October 13th, from 1 to 3, and this is the, Celine Paquette's idea. We have a couple more panels arriving, the historic panels are arriving. October 13th, and we're going to have an unveiling, but we want to also make it, we want some of the local kids to learn a little bit more about the history of the village. So we're going to have some kids' crafts, and we're going to have like a history scavenger hunt, where they can use the signs, all of the historic panels and signs. It'll be in the afternoon, and details to follow, but it's pretty exciting. Celine's very, very excited about it and doing a great job planning it. I think that's all I have.
I just have one, did you see the day of the Village Fest? St. Mary's is gonna have a trunk your junk, where people
Oh.
can park in the St. Mary's school parking lot and open up their trunks to
Oh, that's
sell
perfect.
whatever they have.
Cause
For,
that's the
yard
townwide
sale.
garage
Yep.
sale today,
Mhm.
so that's perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you can also rent tables by calling the rectory,
Yep.
and if you Or you can just pull in and sell from your trunk.
Oh, that's great, that'll just bring more people into
Hmm.
it.
That's probably why they did it,
Yeah,
to really boost.
I remember seeing
Yeah.
that.
Too busy day, village.
Yeah, that'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Okay.
Okay.
Todd, anything to it?
Yeah, not much, except it seems like I just announced this last month, but it must've been 2 months ago. Another blood drive, July 30th, coming up at the Champlain Catholic Events Club, 3 to 7. We've been building, so get the word out. Anybody who wishes to donate or has been donating elsewhere, wants to donate locally, it's great.
Who wants to try it for the first time?
Mhm.
But, yeah, our numbers have come up a little bit, so it's good. That's all I have.
Amy?
I don't know if any of you saw in the paper this week, Sunday, there's another planting opportunity for us. And I did check it out, it does qualify for our municipality to put in for this, where we are adding trees and shrubbery along the river's edges. It's huge monies that are being offered. And so I'm just asking if you want me to pursue this or not. So part of it is getting volunteers to help assist in the planting, but trees being provided, shrubbery being provided based on the area that we live in, that they choose what it fits. And the minimum grant is $11,000.
Is that just along the riverbank, or can we?
Yeah, it's the riverbank.
It's anything that flows into what they classify as the Champlain
Water basin? Yeah,
watershed.
we qualify for that, but should we
Absolutely.
put the trees along the playground, or do they have to be along the river?
No, it's along
Has
the
to be
river.
along the
I read-
river.
Yeah, I read about it too.
Yeah,
Well, we could certainly use it along the river.
so that would include down here at this park and,
Well, that's, yeah, they're talking about, yeah, flood mitigation, and, you know, I read it, I looked it up too, Amy. It interests me, but when you think about the open areas along the Great Chazy within the village, it's either Bill Earl Park or a little bit over by the community garden. But other than that, we don't really have any open areas, and I just wasn't sure if, I was afraid the trees would be taken out. That was my concern when I thought about those two places.
Is there a criteria how close to the edge you have to plant?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
all to mitigate floodwaters and
Right.
that kind of thing, and it's a great idea, but I just wasn't sure if our areas would,
I don't really, both in a floodplain, I don't know if that matters, they may not, maybe they will, maybe they won't.
Well, if you think if the winter that we had, with the ice we had, if there was all trees down along that river, they'd have all been gone.
yeah, that was my concern.
Especially this past year, yeah, need to pull that ice up onto the shore.
I mean, you hate to pass up money, because I'm sure we do qualify, but yet you hate to
I think you send back.
kind of take it away from
yeah,
another.
so
That's
they're
what-
looking to create
that's what I
a
was
buffer.
Right,
With it, so, I mean, I can call them specifically and, you know, talk through it with them about what we have available here, and, you know, with the flood issue, is this just a waste of funds, you know?
if you have time to do that,
Yeah,
do you think you have time to do that?
I will do that.
Yeah, I think that would be
Mhm.
a really
Yeah, I
important
didn't get to
question.
it today, Mondays are
Yeah.
always,
Because, the plantings in Bill Earl Park that were done years ago, those trees are just beautiful.
As long as they're not right on the edge,
But-
you can keep them back.
Yeah,
if
it-
It'd be
we
alright.
don't have to be right on the river's edge, it'd be
Right.
okay.
Then,
if
yeah,
we could
that would
add
be
to
wonderful.
those,
Mhm.
then that would be really nice.
Right, and all the waterways they're talking about, they all flood, so
Yeah.
there's gotta be some stipulation in where plant, and that's where they would advise where the things go and
Mhm.
what to put in. But I will definitely get more specifics. There's still time, to pursue this, so I can, shoot you off an email and,
Will they come down here and look at our property and?
I don't know, I
advise us?
mean, we can also send pictures and videos, I mean, the beautiful of
yeah.
today's day and age, you just,
I think they've got all that on
Yeah,
all their
and I-
flood maps.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly.
Mhm.
Any pictures
So-
of ice last one?
But with the total being 525,000, there's a lot of grants that are gonna be awarded,
Mhm.
so,
And 11,000 minimum
Why not?
is Yeah.
1,000 minimum.
Mhm.
And it's a great project to get the community involved in,
Yeah.
as well, and, you know, we've got a great community that's always looking to do that stuff. So, and there'll be a webinar, a how-to webinar and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If I need it for the Grants Gateway, but I'm familiar with that, so.
Yeah, I would really appreciate it if you don't mind
Yep.
following up on that.
And there's others still that I do have to get answers to you all on, so. That's it.
Thank you. The report from the clerk treasurer, please.
Everyone has their expense and revenue report for June, which is our first month into the new year. We also did a water and sewer billing. Water in the amount of $59,141.78. And sewer is $72,856.29.
Is that up a little bit?
No, actually it's down a little. It's down about, a little less than $1,000, each of them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any questions on that?
No worries, it'll be up next, cause it's so dry, big time.
Yeah. I know. Okay. Let's pay the warrant then.
Okay, we have additional invoices to be added to the warrant in the amount of $5,718.92 for a total warrant of $31,869.40. And included in the warrant is, fees that we need to pay Barton and Judas for the blower study and the I&I study, in the amount of $12,162. My recommendation is that we, take it at a fund balance.
And when we're repaid, just put it back in? Or do we have to put it in a
Well, we can
budget line?
put it into the budget line, we put it into that engineering study, so then we can keep going, we won't have to transfer it,
Makes sense.
you know. You get the money back, you just put it back into that fund.
Right.
Okay, that's
So
in
we're
there.
gonna transfer from G 599, 12,162 to G 1440.1, which is engineering, 12,162.
Okay. Any motion to approve that transfer?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second?
Is there any further discussion on that? Other than that money will be coming back to us eventually? For the
They'll just
I&I
get rolled
study?
over at the end of the year anyway, if we don't use it.
Yeah,
This is just on that transfer amount, right?
Correct.
and we have a project manager on that, so the I&I, and I haven't heard, from Mr. Fletcher about the results of that I&I study, but we have a project manager on that one, and we will send the bills in for that to be reimbursed. On the blowers, we haven't been officially awarded that $50,000 grant, so we have no project manager at this point to submit the bills and the paperwork to. We have Jamie Rogers, who is here from Inca, is checking on that with the NYSERDA people about why we haven't been told that we were awarded that grant, so we should know about that in a day or so. And then the project manager will be appointed and we can start sending bills to them for repayment. I'm not, at this point, I know it's been 7 months, but I'm not concerned that we're not gonna get that grant. I'm certain that we will.
It's just,
maybe
I like
overstepping
your
my,
rose-colored glasses, it's good.
overstepping my bounds there a little bit. but
I'm
I
sitting
think
here
that's-
thinking, okay, I'm going to put the skirt again. It's better to have your attitude.
Yeah, we'll get it. Okay, get a motion to approve the warrant,
So moved.
second,
Second.
any further discussion here on the?
Yeah, just one question, I know I'm supposed to ask it in advance, but DPW t-shirts with reflective tape to Kevin Triller?
This is, he.
I was gonna ask.
Okay.
We're all gonna ask
Okay,
that.
okay. He went to Montreal and he
Uh-huh.
bought a whole bunch of these for the town. These are really good t-shirts, they're like that, what is that material that you can breathe, whatever. Anyway, they have reflective tape all over, which are excellent for the guys to use out in the streets. They all
Okay.
wear the same. So anyway, the thing is, they went from a 2, what were they, there were 2 and now they're supposed to be 3 with the longer sleeves, so they
Class 2
were
and class
discounted.
3.
So they cost us less than, they cost us like 7 something a piece.
I can show you one, but that's the fronts.
Well, it wasn't so
That's-
much of getting a t-shirt
back.
with reflective tape, I just was
That's
curious
why-
if
that
there was
was
a
too.
error.
Yeah.
Well, they were-
Well, he
Instead of us
goes
going to
to-
Canada,
yeah.
you picked them up over there for us.
Sweet,
He picked them up for us.
okay,
Okay.
He came to see us before.
It was a
he
good
bought
buy,
them.
it was,
Okay.
it
just
was,
make sure it wasn't a
Yeah.
typo.
Yeah, we
No,
were-
no, no, no.
no.
Yeah, we were all
Being
doing,
nice.
We all
we were
thought it.
all doing the same thing, like,
Reflective
Yeah.
tape.
did you start a new
It's funny,
business?
it's funny, we all thought it.
Guys are wearing them every day and they're, you'll notice them, it's much,
Yeah, it's,
Well, no, it's good for their safety.
Yeah,
It just kinda was like,
yeah,
anyway,
that's it, and you answered the other one on the charging station, so,
okay.
thank you.
alright, is there any further discussion on the warrant? Roll call, please.
Trustee Trombley,
aye.
trustee Petrich,
Aye.
trustee Trombley,
Aye.
trustee Garrett,
Hi,
Mayor Martin.
Aye. It's your turn, Mike.
I don't really have too much tonight. We've been, mostly water breaks and working on ditching. I don't know if we'll ever get caught up, but we're gonna have to shift gears here shortly and get ready for paving. So we've got a lot of drainage and stuff to do for that. Can't seem to get caught up. It's just the way it is, I guess. But I didn't do a report. No time, I guess.
Where are we paving? Is it over there yet?
What's that?
Where are we paving this year?
Nothing as of right now until I get streets ready.
I think we're
What's
looking
our-
at
what's our
spruce,
plan?
spruce and pine.
again,
Spruce if I get the drainage in.
Spruce is in really tough shape. We did that back when Woody was superintendent.
The road's cracked this wide, the water's coming around the middle, constant. Well, right now it's not so dry, but I need to put drainage all the way down the side of it. On the side between the sidewalk and the road, to try to drain the water out of that storm bed underneath. Till we get that in, no sense paving it. Quite a few, ash line needed to be paved, I got culvert put on the end there, there's a pile of them, but if I don't get any of them ready, we're not gonna get them paved. And I don't know when the county's coming here. Usually we're one of the last ones, but. So, we don't get going on the streets, we won't have anything paved. No one's paving if the drainage and everything else isn't in, because you're kinda wasting your,
Yep, absolutely.
Need the preparation first.
So, I don't know, if you guys have certain ones you want us to do, we'll do those first, as far as getting them ready. But as of right now, there's really none that are ready to go. I think you're going on spruce here, that one's been overdue for quite a long time. But that's gonna take a while too, because there's gas lines out through there, we're gonna dig from one end to the other. Put a perforated, we got the perforated tile. We can put perforated tile from one end to the other, just to try to get that water out of the ground there.
Ashland Drive needs attention too, we put it off till the water project went through there.
I need to change that culvert on the end. But there's no place for that water to drain. The farmer's field, over time, they level the land, and there's no outlet for that water now. I don't know if, know, I'm gonna have to try to talk to them and see if they can put a swale all the way to the river. I mean, over time, it just keeps filling, there's no place, it just sits there, you know?
Was there ever a ditch or anything?
Yeah, and I cleaned one out a few years ago too, but over time, I mean, everything kind of, you know, everything kind of settles
Does it
out,
work for
stays
you?
wet,
Does
yeah.
it work it too?
And it's not tiled, so it's not like it's got a place for the water to go and then it's tiled out where it can run off, you know? And with the clay, it just holds it. But Ashland, I gotta put a shoulder, you know, away from the corner of south, all the way around by Sanchez, I gotta put a shoulder back on and put the water line in. You can get off there, you sink. Still gotta dig chlorination tap, I mean, there's asphalt driveway with a patch, Laramie's, there's a bunch of stuff. It seems like no matter where you go, there's so much to get it prepped, you know what I mean?
So that one sounds like it needs priority. Seems to be bad.
I mean, there's a lot of them that are, same thing with spruce, that one really needs to be drainage put in before. That one should have been paid a few years ago.
Is that something you can work in your schedule in time so you can?
Moore
pay in the
Street, I'm
fall?
gonna have a sewer crossing to do. Now there's a fella talking on Cedar Street, that just got paved, what, 2 years ago? Well, I was thinking about putting water and sewer in, so I'm gonna have to look at cutting the brand new road, well, brand new couple-year-old road. I don't know,
Water and sewer where?
where Eddie's garage was,
Oh,
he wants to put water and sewer to the garage. Yeah, there's sewer mainways on the other side of the road, in the road, so new road will have to be cut.
That always
Got one on
happens.
Moore Street,
For a work, for a, like a car repair place or just a garage
garage.
to put water and sewer in there? So if an owner wants to do that, would that not be at their expense?
Yeah, we still have to cut the road. I mean, the road's, either way, the road still has to be cut. We have to cut it, the water, we have to bring it to the curb stop, there's no water there. We have to cut the road for the water, bring a curb stop to his side. Sewer is on him.
But it's water and sewer to a home, not to a garage. Why are we going to that kind of expense and tearing up a brand new road?
If
For a
somebody,
garage.
if somebody open, he wants to put an office in there, a bathroom with a sink and a, I mean, if somebody's got a property, right now, he owns that one and the house next door, but he's
Uh-huh.
gonna be selling the house next door, so he needs utilities to that garage. He's making an office in there, into his garage. He wants to make an office out of there, use it for an office. In we supply to the curb stop, which the water main's on the opposite side, so either way I have to cut the road to get the water to his side of the road, and he's responsible for the curb stop to
yeah.
But
And-
a garage isn't classified as a home. So is he going to have to go through zoning to get approval to, I mean, if we start doing stuff like that, I mean, the expenses will go unending.
And same thing with Eddie Hicks, I mean, the garage, that's a garage there, and he wants to put water, and I believe he's looking at putting sewer there too on Meadow Lane.
So that's a total separate hookup and a total separate fee.
It's gonna be a water and sewer fee, just like a house.
Uh-huh.
If you put a meter, I mean, if you put a service there, it's gonna be a water and
But
sewer
don't they
fee.
need to go through the zoning board for that kind of change?
I don't think.
I don't
they-
think,
no.
I don't think so, they got a garage there, there's been a garage.
Yeah, but a garage is for your car.
Yeah, that's not a residence.
It's not a residence.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not. I
You might have
think
to
we
look at
gotta
it
be
and make
clear
sure
on
it's
this.
all- it's,
We're still obligated.
Well, I'm not-
to measure it.
I'm not here to
I
argue
think
that,
it's
but
a
I'm
new use,
just,
so I think it
I'm
has to
bringing
go
it up.
through zoning.
Yeah,
Right,
it does, yeah.
I mean, we'd have to do it, whether it was a residence or a business.
Right.
We gotta run the water to the curb stop, and we'd have to we'd have to hook up the sewer.
once they
But I
get
think the
approval
concern
from
is-
zoning.
They can, yes, they'd have to get approval from zoning, but they're gonna have to do the trenching to put the lines in.
Mhm.
But we still have to cut the road, to put them in.
Right, but again, we still have to get approval through zoning first for a change in use, because,
Zoning would have to approve that, yes.
right,
Mhm.
that's what I'm saying here.
The one on Meadow Lane, I think, is already approved for that. Storage
Sounds reasonable.
and stuff like
I
that.
don't know
This
how that
one-
works. I mean, if it's garages, if it's still a garage, if we're gonna put an office in it, it's, I don't know. I don't
think
know.
that's
It's
a
not
new
gonna do
Question
me.
use.
for Mike Tasia.
Yeah, I think it's a new use, so it's a variance.
Yeah, so I guess ask Mike, add that to your list for Mike, to ask him, is this considered a new use?
He hasn't come in to do it yet, but he called me and asked me about it, what would it take, so he's thinking about it right now, of doing it.
I would direct him directly to Mike Tatro.
Yeah, and before we cut through the road, make sure this is actually going to happen.
Oh,
It seems we put in and fix a
definitely.
road and then we're cutting across it within a year or two.
It's inevitable.
It's me nuts. But, I mean, if he goes through with it, that's fine, but, you know, for us to do this and then say, nah,
And-
Yeah.
And maybe.
Or not get a variance.
Right.
You gotta do it in the proper order.
Lockland Drive?
Yeah. Okay, anything else, Mike?
No, I got a couple requests.
I see that.
Spend some money.
You'd be disappointed.
I'm looking for a compaction plate camper jumping jack. All we've got here is a small plate camper, and you don't get the compaction, especially like low cut. I've been actually looking at it for quite a while. I borrowed one from, when we had the broken main up on the rail bed, I borrowed one. And the compaction is so much, you gotta have something you can put in and lift, especially where you have cutouts in the roadway like the break we just had. I compacted it with a backhoe, which is not really the right way to do it. You're supposed to put it in lifts and back it. I'm gonna cut more of the state road out and back it more, but I've been looking for the last few months and I found some actually that were quite a bit less money. I don't know if they'll still be there, and I do have 3 quotes for each side, but I was originally looking at the BS 50 4AS, and the cheapest I found was $23.50. I wrote the 3 quotes on here, and I do have the sheets for all 3 if anybody wants to see them. And actually, tonight I found one size bigger for less money, brand new. There's only one, I don't know how long it'll last. There's the
Talking about this
BS 60. Yeah, the difference is just a little bit, the compaction rate's a little bit more, it's a little bit heavier. 50 would be sufficient, but for the difference in price, if we can go with the next size and it's less money, we're probably better to go that way. It weighs 159 pounds versus 143, and the compaction, surface compaction's at 1,604 foot-pounds versus 1,281. So, 4,000 pounds of force versus 3,500. But I found it, and if it's still available, it was less money, $200 less than the next size bigger. And they both have the same engine, both have a Honda engine, both made by Wacker, which is basically the same, but one's bigger than the other.
Any kind of warranty with this?
I don't know that for sure. I emailed the fella tonight to find out, and I haven't got a response yet.
So this is a personal sale, someone personally has
It's
it?
brand new. This one, actually, it's off eBay.
Uh-huh.
That was the cheapest place I could find it. I mean, there are companies that do have them, but they're, well, you can see some of the prices on
Yeah.
there. They're
31,
quite a bit more.
65.
Yeah, it's almost $1,000 less than what some of them are. It's quite a bit for what it is. So I don't know if they'll still have it, but I was gonna ask the board if they would approve. And I will find that out. I sent actually both these people to find out the model years too, even though they're brand new, to make sure that they're newer and not 5-year-olds sitting in a warehouse somewhere brand new.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Cause they do have, one of the places I looked at tonight, they had, 2015s, 2016s, and they were actually more than what these were. So I just wanna make sure, how new is it? I mean, if it's a year, that's one thing, but if it's 5 years, so,
It could be obsolete. and
Well-
Never be able to get parts for it.
you shouldn't be, they should, this is the same as our pumps or Wacker, they're a decent, and you can still get parts for, most of them, even if they discontinue a model, they carry them for so many years.
Okay.
So I asked the board if they would approve, I don't know, the second one in line is $100 more. I was gonna say, I think I wrote it on that sheet.
On the bottom, 200.
Yeah, I didn't have it on mine. I was gonna say up to $24.50, this is the one I'm gonna try to go with if it's not that old, $21.49.99, and I included shipping. But if they only had one, and if I can't get it, then I'm gonna have to find something different. And the next cheapest one is the one on the other page, which is the DS50 for $23.50, which includes shipping. And that one they still had 2. I looked a few weeks back and they had like 7.
Where would you take this out of?
Be out of, probably streets, equipment. What do you know the number?
This'll make that big a difference.
What's that?
This'll make that big a difference, using this stamper versus the.
Oh yeah, we don't have anything, we use the backhoe to roll over it for compaction. You're
That's probably
supposed to
not the
put
best
it in,
thing.
what's that?
That's probably not the best thing.
So
Well-
the little plate tamper's not even heavy enough to use.
No, that's more, we use it like for asphalt and stuff, where it's got a bigger plate. This has got an 11-inch shoe, it's a jumping jack's what it is.
Yeah.
Anytime you do road crossings, you're supposed to put 6 to 12-inch lifts and then compact it,
Back.
so you don't have a settlement. They never had one here. We usually use the backhoe, which works, it weighs 20,000 pounds, but you don't get the vibrations where you get the compaction.
5110.2 or 4?
2, equipment,
And how much do we have in there? All of it, I know, but what do we have?
$7,775.33.
Okay, takes a big chunk for your year, Mike, is this really what you want?
Well, either that or, I mean, you don't have to, but we'll keep
No,
doing
I'm
the way
just,
we're
I'm
doing
just
it.
asking you as your wish list.
Well, for now, until something else breaks.
Might as well be honest with us, yeah.
I mean, I can't see the future, but,
Is this gonna help us in this break situation?
well, I don't know if it'll help us in the breaks, but it'll help us for all
Repair.
the road cuts, compaction,
Repair.
culverts. We're gonna be putting these culverts in. The only other way is to leave them open all year and let people drive on them and
No.
when you put them in, if you don't pack them, once they settle, and you pave it and then they settle, you're right back to.
Right, exactly.
So might as well bite the bullet here, folks.
I make a motion to allow Mike to purchase a Whacker Newson Honda engine stamper rammer
Jumping jack.
up
packer.
to,
Get that jumping jack whacker, alright?
up to $2,450, his first choice being the one for $2,149.99, if that's not available,
That's feasible.
Depending on the year.
Right.
depending on the year, but up to $2,450.
Would you like to repeat all that for us?
I'm looking at this going, what words do I wanna just choose from?
Jumping jack camper.
Jumping jack Whacker.
Jumping jack packer.
Well, I wasn't realizing they were both the exact same. Purchase this piece of equipment.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
You wanna repeat that?
No, I don't.
We have a motion to expand up to $24.50, to, purchase 11-inch shoe, Honda engine, jumping jack packer. From Whacker. Is there any further discussion here before we vote?
Please, no.
No, it's gonna get worse.
It's gonna get
Okay,
this.
so roll call please.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee McFetrich. Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee Garrett. Mayor Martin.
Aye. Alright, Mike, go for the second
I've
thing.
got one more too, is, my August, my backflow, license is coming due again, my recertification. They're having one in the town of Plattsburgh, July 31st, July 30th and 31st, which is $435, a 3-year certification. If I don't take it, August, my license runs out, and then it's like $790 to renew it. I'm asking the board if they would consider paying for my renewal, a 3-year renewal at $435, which is, the class is gonna be the town of Plattsburgh.
Make a motion for Mike to attend the backflow prevention re-licensure for $435.
Second,
Second.
is there any further discussion here? Another roll call please.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee McFetrich.
Aye.
Thank you.
Trustee Trombley.
Aye.
Trustee Garrett.
Aye.
Mayor Martin.
Aye. Mike, let me ask you, this Shamrock pipe tools, you put it off put off discussion on this with your hose
Yeah,
and
it's still.
nozzle and,
It's still been put off for now.
okay, so we'll just
That's for the
table that.
jetter. Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question? Do we have to pay this in advance?
Or July, or August.
I believe so. I might be able to pay it there.
Yeah, but it means that we need to pay we need to add it to the warrant then if,
That was July,
Well,
on the July.
Either that or I can put it on our card.
that's true. Okay.
Good thinking.
It'll be on the next
Does our
one.
card
Okay.
give us money back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, he's spending then.
No,
Oh, you set yourself up for that.
all right, if we're done, Mike, you finished, yes, no?
Yeah, they gave me a new card today, burned mine up.
All right, we got only one piece of correspondence here from JCO monthly report. New business, Village Fest, we talked about that, August 11th, from noon to 4. Old business, we haven't had any further discussions about the generator. I asked Woody about it, I know your question last time was, what was the shutdown and startup procedure for the water plant?
And the startup procedure with
How would it affect
with
it?
a hard shutdown, like sure, you know, that's what's gonna happen. If ours are going, you got a hard shutdown of the whole plant.
Shut down. So we'll get him,
Yeah, back
set
up.
him down and grill him about that one.
Yeah, we know what that means, how hard does it get back up?
Okay, we've awarded the contract, 110 Church Street, boarding up the windows and the doors. Mr. Aubin will start next week, I think, to start that boarding up process. Wastewater treatment blowers, I think you have been copied with a report from
Yeah.
Mr. Fletcher about that. Working on the contract documents, plans right now, goal, internal review for us to look at. The bids will go out end of July and come back to us. He'll have to come back here and have a meeting with us to talk about the bids for the blowers and what will be the best option that we will have. The I&I study, as I mentioned before, I haven't got a final report from them yet about that. The contamination cleanup and the state contractor, just got this was Friday. We should have proposed equipment for the air mover and speed controller specified and proposed to you shortly. The you is Russell Mulvey, who is the physical engineer for DEC, who's in charge of this venture. Once we are in agreement with that and the equipment is ordered and then received, we will return to install it, and then we'll probe and investigate the exterior in same mobilization. So they still have to come back. They've got part of this done. You'll notice I think it's a 6-inch pipe on the side out here, a 4-inch pipe on the side out here for exhaust. You're gonna come back, put in a bigger fan and an 8-inch pipe to vent that.
It smells better in here,
Yeah,
big time.
and then they're gonna come in and do a number of probes here to see how far the contamination goes. Mr. Mulvey's feeling is it's all here and moving downward towards the river. They were here in 1991, did a lot of contamination, took a lot of stuff out of here, filled it back in, and now it's recontaminated. So they're gonna come in and do some boring and stuff like that, see how much they have to tear out, and that work will, I expect probably around the 1st of September, the contractor will come in and begin that. But Mr. Mulvey is very insistent that this take place quickly, and he's very concerned about the health of the staff, having to, deal with that, so, as he should be, and as we should be, I guess. All right. Generators, Church Street, wastewater blowers, I&I study, contamination. I spoke about the Elm Street Bridge, the county coming in and finally getting that done. We are going to, we're in conversation with ENCA. Again, you remember Jamie Rogers and Nancy Bernstein came and did a presentation about a year ago or so about energy saving. They've come across, and the rules have changed now, about changing over streetlights from the sodium, whatever bulbs, to LEDs. Part of this is that we no longer have to buy the whole pole and arm and everything. We can get away with just buying the light itself. So there's a consortium of villages and towns around, and I believe New York State Gas and Electric has changed their view on this, on purchasing this equipment. And it looks like from the price comparisons here, LED is going to be about a third of the cost.
Sweet.
So, and what do we spend on lights? Juanita, do you remember that figure?
Each month, our lighting bill is over $1,000, streetlights.
So if we can get some savings there, you know, we'll
Well,
have a,
this month it's $1,269.
And that's with the long,
That's streetlights.
long days.
so, Mr. Rogers and Ms. Bernstein will come down. We'll invite them down to the August board meeting and spend a little time with us once we get the facts a little bit short up here, and we'll share that with you before the board meeting so that everybody will be, I think it looks like it's a pretty good deal. I have to spend a little more time with it. I'm a slow learner.
If it cuts at a third, it's a big investment.
Usually they're brighter too.
What's that?
Usually they're brighter. I see a lot of towns do.
Yeah.
Really?
No, that's not.
I came through it in Albert the other night.
So-
Yes, they have.
It's hard to
Mr.
Yes.
Mayor, two things.
Yes,
On Church Street, the boarding up of the windows and doors,
yes.
do we need to worry about contractors and prevailing wage
No.
and all of that?
No,
Okay,
Why?
The cost.
it's a private business. It's a one-person business.
okay.
Mike Oven kind of works by himself.
Okay, you sure on that?
I think
He's
so.
got,
It's a
he's got
dollar
one other
too.
employee, but I
Pardon me?
don't think
Dollar
he reaches the
amount.
level
Dollar
of,
amount. Yeah,
Okay.
it's less than
of,
a certain
Okay.
amount.
where we have to check on
Yeah,
the
Just don't wanna get,
It's $2,000, so it's not,
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's the level of cost.
It's below
It's-
that.
It's below that threshold.
yeah.
Okay.
second thing, Trustee Trombley will not be here for the August board meeting.
We'll share all the information that we get. Keep you in line. Or not in line, but informed. How's that?
Either way works.
Once the bridge is done, is there a chance then that we could, do the Gateway Bridge and the great painting and make it beautiful and spectacular as opposed to a nasty green that they'll choose?
We'll get to choose color.
Yeah, we choose the color,
Okay,
plus maybe we can still do the idea of the flower bridge that we have.
yeah, I think that's just so great.
Yeah.
When you see them in the communities that have done it, it really is a good,
Explain the flower bridge.
I still have
Talking
that on my
point.
phone,
Do
you know.
you?
It's
Yeah.
just along the edges, you got flower boxes.
Yeah,
You
I've
ever go
seen
through,
that. Okay,
like,
now,
Say no, or no,
Not
it's
actually
the swamp.
painting the bridge
I've
with
seen a lot of
flowers.
No,
those.
it's actual flowers.
I
I'll
wanted to make
save
sure
them.
that's what it was,
Okay.
but I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if it was that or painted.
Yeah.
Well,
Put 'em on
yeah,
top.
I was doing the same thing.
A lot of times they put them on top of the girder.
yes, it's just beautiful.
The only thing with the color is, I don't know how lenient they will be with the color.
Well,
Because it
just
has
so
to
we
be
don't get
visible,
that
it can't-
nasty bridge green color.
You know, yeah, but
You mean
if
like
it's
our
too
trim?
dark,
Like our
then
trim, I don't wanna be rude here, but like this!
that's been there since Jesus walked across the lake.
Ah, exactly!
If there's no further business that's come before the board, motion to adjourn.
So moved. So
Second?
13th is our next
Second.
one, right?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.